You've been waiting for it. We've been waiting for it. It's finally here. That's right, I'm Alex from Ratings.com, and today we'll be taking a video tour of the Sony WH-1000XM6. Starting with the exterior, Sony hasn't strayed far from the design language of their last flagship. The headband is now more square and now has a wider cross-section, which accommodates boxier head shapes and distributes weight more evenly. That said, the padding up top is minimal and doesn't extend across the headband very far before reaching hard plastic. Moving down to the arms, the XM6 feature a redesigned hinge assembly that incorporates metal components and looks to be a bit more repairable, and hopefully durable, compared to the XM5. Sony also seemed to have listened to the community. The redesign brings back the ability to fold the headphones for storage, now in an updated hard case with a magnetic clasp. The XM6's ear cups have also seen some subtle aesthetic tweaks. Their outer surface is now more circular, a slight alteration from the elongated stadium shape of the previous generation, and the microphone grills are now color matched to the housing. Unfortunately, Sony hasn't really improved the touch controls on the right ear cup. While the gestures make sense, there's a learning curve in practice. Incorrect or skipped inputs are still too common. On the other hand, or I guess on the other ear cup, the XM6 benefit from an updated power button that's easier to distinguish by feel from the noise cancelling and ambient mode button. Popping the XM6 on my head, they're lightweight, apply minimal clamping force, and have soft, pliable ear pads. While they're comfortable for casual use, we don't recommend running around with the headphones. Shake your head too hard, and they're likely to slip. Now let's get these earpads off and talk about some drawbacks. There isn't much depth to the earpads, and the driver assembly sticks out slightly past the mesh. If your ears protrude a bit from your head, or you wear prominent earrings or piercings, your ears can touch the mesh, which can cause discomfort over time. The cushions, though soft, aren't particularly spongy either. That works great for a comfy, glasses-friendly fit, but we found this design isn't without its trade-offs. Depending on your physical characteristics, the earpads might not form a good seal, which can affect the headphone's ability to deliver audio consistently and attenuate noise. This is especially clear in the frequency response consistency measurements of our glasses test subject, which highlights particularly weak bass delivery. That said, even reseating the headphones introduces variability in their audio delivery. So keep in mind that your listening experience may differ from our frequency response measurements. The XM6's tuning is quite similar to that of the XM5. They both have a warm sound with similarly emphasized bass, though the XM6 taper off a bit before reaching the mids. You'll still benefit from characteristic punchy, full-bodied kicks, but without as much muddying in denser tracks compared to the XM5. Most of the mid-range lands close to our target, so vocals and instruments will sound clear and present. Things get a bit more interesting in the treble though. The XM6 extend well into the higher frequencies, so there's more sparkle compared to the XM5. However, their response isn't totally smooth. Narrow peaks and dips in the mid and high treble can affect the reproduction of higher pitched harmonics. Elements like violin pizzicato and splash cymbals may sound dull or jump out in the mix as they're under or overemphasized relative to one another. In Voyager by Daft Punk, for example, we noticed the crisp snare was a tad bright compared to both the closed and open hi-hats. Still, for most listeners, this won't be a deal breaker. You'll likely get used to the tuning, and if not, there's always the 10-band graphic EQ. All that said, we should mention that the headphones sound different with ANC on or off, and when powered on or off while wired. Yes, you can use them passively with a 3.5mm audio jack, though they don't support USB audio. Take a peek at the written review for more details on this. Now, shifting to additional objective metrics, there's a lot to like here. The XM6 have solid group delay performance and exceptional harmonic distortion results. You don't need to worry about loose transients or coloration from distortion. That said, the headphone's stereo matching isn't perfect. There's a right driver bias in the frequency response in the mids and lower that can pull bass lines off center. Meanwhile, fluctuations in frequency and phase response across the mids and treble can blur the stereo image a bit, making it harder to pinpoint audio objects in your mix. Sony haven't exactly made it a secret that the XM6 have the best noise cancelling in their marketing push leading up to and following the launch of the headphones. In fact, it's right here on their website. So, is it true? In short, yes. We think the XM6 offer the best overall noise attenuation you can get in a pair of over-ears for now. but it's not without limitations, and we'll come back to that in a bit. Looking at our synthetic pink noise test, the XM6 have fantastic performance in bass, mid, and treble attenuation, with standout generational improvement in high bass and mid-range noise suppression. The XM6 stand out even more in our common scenario testing, especially when it comes to blocking typical office noise like keyboard clicks and background HVAC hum. They also don't leak much sound, barely exceeding the noise floor of a typical office. Okay, so what's the catch? Well, just like audio delivery, noise attenuation is dependent on the headphones forming a good seal. Our noise suppression testing, and likely Sony's, was done with a standard test rig, which doesn't account for varying physical characteristics. When the headphone seal breaks, it doesn't just affect audio delivery of content, it also reduces the effectiveness of active noise cancelling, which relies on inverted phase sound waves to cancel incoming noise. On top of that, a broken seal allows more outside noise in. If we contextualize their best-in-class noise cancelling using our findings from our frequency response consistency measurements, it's worth taking a step back from the hype and considering whether your physical features might affect the XM6's ability to deliver on their potential. So, the XM6 have a total of 12 ANC microphones, 6 of which are also used for voice calls. They also feature Sony's shiny new QN3 processor. But what does that actually mean for call quality? Well, compared to the XM5, the mic system has better bass extension, so your voice sounds fuller and isn't lacking in body. That said, I wouldn't plan on recording any Grammy-winning vocals with the XM6's mic system. In chaotic environments, the XM6 handle noise well, though they're not much of an improvement over the XM5. While the arrival of a loud train won't blow out the ears of anyone on call with you, speech clarity can take a hit when the headphones attempt to dampen loud, sustained noise. Most headphones, including these, default to using Bluetooth Classic and the hands-free protocol, or HFP, during calls. But here's the good news. The XM6 support the LC3 codec over Bluetooth LE. That means if your device is compatible, you can take advantage of the newer technology. To give you an idea, here's what the XM6 sound like using HFP versus LC3.
This is a ratings.com microphone test. This is a ratings.com microphone test.
It's a pretty noticeable difference, though your experience may vary depending on your voice and the call conditions. And a couple of extra things to keep in mind. This feature is still in beta as of this video, and compatibility varies depending on the connected device. For instance, while iPhones do support Bluetooth LE, they don't currently support LC3, so iOS users won't be able to take advantage of this feature for now. As far as app features go, and as expected from a 6th generation flagship, the XM6 have far too many features for us to cover in this video alone. We'll stick to the highlights here, but check out the full review if you want even more details. Codec support is what you'd expect. SBC and LDAC are both here, and as mentioned earlier, the XM6 now support LC3 as well. Latency with SBC and LDAC is over 200 milliseconds, so you'll likely notice AV desync outside of device or app compensated playback. We couldn't test latency with LC3 using our current testing setup, but who knows, maybe you'll see some measurements in a future update to the review. Their battery lasts over 31 hours of continuous playback with ANC on, north of Sony's advertised 30 hours of playback. So you're covered for long haul flights or days when you forget to charge. That said, keep in mind that battery life depends on other factors like ANC load and codec and mic usage. The app also has some welcome additions. There's a mute-unmute toggle for calls and expanded virtual surround options. In addition to Sony's 360 reality audio feature, which still doesn't have wide app support, you now get access to Google's spatial audio and head tracking features on compatible Android devices. Sorry Samsung owners, you're not on this list. Fortunately, all users, including those on iOS, can still access Sony's new listening modes. They can emulate different room sizes or upmix stereo content into surround. The feature's fun to try, but it's not something that we'd regularly use. For customization, you've got plenty to work with. The app offers a range of EQ presets and a 10-band graphic equalizer for fine-tuning your sound. You can also go through a Find My EQ listening test on the app, which creates a custom EQ based on your answers. While you can't adjust the strength of the XM6's noise cancelling, you can adjust the transparency of the ambient mode from 1 to 20, or choose from 3 levels of adaptive sensitivity. And when you switch into ambient mode, transparency ramps up gradually, which makes for a smoother, less jarring transition. Definitely a nice touch. And of course, the XM6 retains speak-to-chat functionality to enable transparency when you talk, adaptive sound controls based on activity or location, and Android's Find My Device feature. We've hinted at a few comparisons thus far, and now it's time for us to take a moment to see how the XM6 stack up against the competition. We could honestly do a whole separate video on this, and one comparing the XM4, XM5, and XM6 in depth is on the way. But for now, here's a quick summary if you're trying to decide between Sony's last 3 flagships. If you want the full feature set and top tier performance, and don't mind paying for it, the XM6 are the way to go. Just be mindful of the potential seal issues that we mentioned earlier. If you're looking to save a bit and still want solid mic performance, the XM5 might be the sweet spot for you. Their mic holds up surprisingly well over HFP, although you won't get the benefits of LC3. One warning though, the XM5 have a widely reported hinge durability issue, and users have had varying degrees of success getting Sony to cover a replacement under warranty. If value is your main priority, the XM4 are probably the best bang for your buck. You'll miss out on some bells and whistles, and the mic isn't the best, but they avoid the structural and seal issues found in the XM5 and XM6 respectively. As for non-Sony options, the Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra headphones are probably the most natural comparison. They consistently trade blows with the Sony. The Bose have less variability in audio delivery, their frequency response doesn't fluctuate as much from their warm sound profile, and their deeper ear cups can feel more comfortable for some. That said, their group delay is terrible in the bass, so kicks will sound loose and lack impact. The Sony also have the edge in features with extensive virtual surround options for immersive listening, LC3 codec support, and a microphone system that separates speech from background noise more effectively. If the Sony rest well on your head, they're pretty much a no-brainer. So, are the XM6 worth it? Considering the XM5 launched at $400 in 2022, the XM6's current $450 price tag is a notable increase. That said, depending on inflation and where you live and regional pricing, this might be a smaller or larger jump in price, so whether that's justified depends on what you value. For some, it'll be worth it. The XM6 offer class-leading noise cancelling, a deep feature set, support for newer tech like Bluetooth LE and LC3, and real improvements over the previous generation, including a redesigned hinge, power button, and case. But they're not perfect. As we mentioned earlier, the ear cup and pad design is a clear weak point. The cups aren't deep, so if your ears protrude a bit or you wear piercings, they can chafe against the inner driver assembly. The pads, while soft, are overly squishy and shallow. This makes them more susceptible to seal issues and could also lead to faster wear over time. Plus, the XM6's minimal headband padding is a bit disappointing, especially at this price point. If you already own a good pair of headphones, we'd recommend holding off until the price of the XM6 comes down a bit. But if you've already committed, or you're just a longtime Sony fan, don't worry. The XM6 aren't going anywhere for at least a couple of years, and we're confident that better designed aftermarket earpad options will emerge. If you'd like us to test any third-party earpads as they crop up, let us know. While it's not something we usually cover, we could be convinced to investigate. Until then, I'm Alex from RTINGS.com, where we help you find the best product for your needs. Bye! Group delay performance and exceptional, I said the same thing, exceptional harmonic. It's because I'm trying to say exceptional. These headphones are exceptional. I'm gonna be describing everything as exceptional moving forward.